The Netherlands, a cycling nation of 17 million people who own 22.5 million bikes together, an average of 1.3 bicycles per person, which is more than any other country on the planet. A Dutch person makes about 250 to 300 bicycle rides per year, and together they ride almost 15 billion kilometers. Even though many more kilometers are driven by car, in the morning rush hour, bicycles outnumber cars in the streets of the Netherlands. 84% of the Dutch own one or more bicycles, and 27% of the under 50-year-olds use their bicycle every day. The same goes for 17% of the over 65-year-olds. The average number of cycling has been stable for about 30 years. About 27% of all trips in the country are made by bicycle. But that average is a total of figures that did change. Cycling has increased a lot in the cities, with 12% since 2005, and decreased in the countryside. Not only because more people live in cities now, but also because the Dutch cycle more often and they cycle longer distances. The average Dutch person now cycles 1,000 kilometers per year. No other nation in the world cycles this much. But Dutch school children cycle even twice as much, because 3/4 of the 12 to 16-year-olds cycle to school on a daily basis. Another group that cycles much more are the over 65-year-olds, partly because their number increased, and partly because they discovered the e-bike, but mostly because they simply cycle longer distances, especially for recreation. The acceptable distance to cycle was long thought to be about 7.5 kilometers, with 90% of all trips being shorter. But with the e-bike, that distance has increased to 15 kilometers. The average cycle speed in the Netherlands is relatively low, about 12.4 kilometers per hour. The e-bike is only a fraction faster, with 13 kilometers per hour. The Dutch can cycle on well over 55,000 kilometers of roadway that is fit to cycle on. Already 70% of the urban streets are 30 km per hour zones. On top of that, there is a network of over 33,000 kilometers of dedicated cycling infrastructure, ranging from completely solitary cycle routes, not attached to any motor traffic network, to cycleways next to busy roads, one way on either side, or bi-directional. Education seems to be a way to achieve more cycling. Of the higher educated people in Amsterdam, only 28% choose the car. People who are less well educated take the car for more than 50% of their journeys. Where higher educated people see the bicycle as a status symbol with which they can show how close they live to their work, for instance, the lower classes look down on the bicycle, even in the Netherlands. Still, more trips are made by bicycle than by car in Amsterdam. 72,000 cycle trips in morning rush hour alone, almost twice as many as the number of cars on the street at the same time. Utrecht is equally busy. That city of 345,000 people welcomes 125,000 people on bicycles every day. The busiest street is used by 33,000 people every day. It makes this cycleway the busiest in the country. To give all these people a parking space, Utrecht is creating 33,000 bicycle parking spaces around its central station, of which 12,500 in one facility, the largest in the world. Of all the visitors to the Utrecht city centre, 59% arrives by bicycle. Even with all that cycling, the Dutch government feels there is more than enough room for growth. For instance, because more than half of the car trips in the Netherlands are below 7.5 kilometers. For a scheme to further promote cycling, the national government joined forces with local authorities and other parties, such as knowledge organizations and entrepreneurs. The ambitious goal? To increase cycling with 20% in the next 10 years. This may pose some challenges at the already busy places, but the Dutch love for experiments also when it comes to road design, will almost certainly make this increase possible in a safe way.